Hello, Ben here from Bounce Financial. Today I'm doing a webinar on the top financial tips we have for holidays and saving for holidays. For a lot of our clients, holidays are a really important part of their lifestyle and their budget, and it's something that we prioritize at Bounce Financial. We personally love holidays, all of us in the office, so it's something that we love to talk about and something that we like to factor in. This is probably a bit lighter than, I guess, some of the other webinars I've done, which have been a bit heavy on some investment concepts and things like that, but still really important tips. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. I should have anticipated maybe about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. So yeah, without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Okay, so I'll just make myself a bit smaller here. Cool. So Bounce Financial's top financial tips for holidays. Excellent. Scroll to the next page. Cool. So a bit about Bounce Financial. So you may be following our socials. You may know a little bit about us. Bounce Financial is a company that specializes in providing financial advice for young professionals. So where we really feel that we add a lot of value and where we really can help is when you are facing big transitions in your life. So, you know, you're getting married, you're having kids, you're buying property, you're starting to invest. You're really doing what a lot of our clients like to jokingly refer to as adulting. This is where we really shine, and we can really help you navigate out what that looks like from a financial space, come up with a bit of a plan, and then help you to execute on that. Now, the way we do that is we utilize the tools of superannuation, insurance, investment, and cash flow to come up with a holistic plan that matches your goals and helps you work towards them. So if you're interested in getting in touch, please do so. We're always happy to help. Quick disclaimer about this webinar. Obviously, it's general information only, doesn't take into account your personal circumstances. We always recommend that you get financial advice, and hopefully through us, so no problem. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. So the number one tip we sort of have when saving for a holiday is that we think that you should prioritize it, right? That too often what happens is we sort of put it off and go, yeah, well, we're going to have a holiday at some point. We've got this on the horizon. We want to do this, but we don't actively make plans to work towards it. And that can be a bit of a disaster because we don't want a situation where, you know, you have to take a holiday and then you're leaning on credit cards and things like that. We want to plan ahead and go, okay, look, over the next 12 months, what are the holidays we're going to take and how do we start working towards them? So because they're a priority to our clients, we actually recommend that they have a separate bank account for the purpose of a holiday. And this money should be transferred in there each payday. Basically what you do is you work out, look, how much is your holiday going to cost? How long do you have till it's going to happen? So hopefully a full year if possible. But if not in the first year, you may not have a full year, but after that, you should hopefully have a similar time frame. Simply divide that figure by how long you've got left, how many pay periods, and transfer that every fortnight or month or whatever you get paid. And this is really important for a couple of reasons. So the first is holidays actually eat up a fair bit of our budget, and by having it in amongst our bills or our savings, it makes it very unclear as to how much we have set aside for bills or how much we're actually saving. We don't want to convolute them and confuse it. The second is by having a separate account, you actually prioritize your holiday. You're saying that money is used for that purpose, which means that when it comes time to go on holiday, you don't feel guilty. You don't feel like you're taking money out of your savings account. You get to go on a guilt-free holiday, and that's what we want. With this account, we tend to recommend, if possible, not having a linked EFTPOS card. It depends on how much self-control you have. You know, you might be okay with that, but it's best to remove that temptation to reach into that when you need it. So that's why we recommend having a separate holiday account. Travel insurance. So we don't give advice directly on travel insurance. That's not really our space. So when we give advice on insurance, we're looking at life insurance, total and permanent disability insurance, trauma insurance, and income protection insurance. And the things that connect all of these is they're insurances over your life, over your being, right? Insurances over other things, so travel insurance, car insurance and whatnot, They make up a big part of your budget, and it's something we do talk about, but we don't specifically advise on what insurance you should get. So what insurance should you get? It's a bit hard to identify what insurance is best for you. The first thing that we suggest to our clients is to find out if they've booked their trip on a credit card, whether there is included travel insurance. Many credit cards these days actually include travel insurance if you take steps to book trips or do something with that credit card. And it's always worth checking out and understanding what the conditions are. Now, some of the conditions we've seen with travel insurance is you may need to go and register your holiday with the company so that they have a record of it, so you can claim on it. So that's something to be aware of. The other thing you need to do is you need to read the product disclosure statement. Now, I know sometimes these can be a bit boring, but they're very, very important. And depending on the type of trip you're taking, you're going to want to know things like, are there any exclusions or times they won't pay? Whether there's an excess payable. So an excess is an amount you have to pay before the insurance company will start chipping in and pay. And whether there are any other costs. And it's by reading this product disclosure statement that you'll understand it. Now, there's some holidays that you need to be aware of that travel insurance is really, really important. It's always really, really important. But in places like, for example, if you go to the US, the cost of care there is very, very high, and you need to be confident that your insurance company will cover you for that. Another thing is if you're participating in what is sport, so if you're going snowboarding, which is something my wife and I like to do, always making sure that that's included is really, really important. So the tip here is read the product disclosure statement. Each insurance company is different. They change all the time. It's worth checking before you go. So we've talked about prioritizing your holiday, about setting up a bank account and transferring the money. We've talked about travel insurance. The other thing I like to talk about with my clients is travel money cards. This comes up from time to time about, well, should I have a travel money card? Now, again, this isn't necessarily 100% our focus at Bounce Financial. We're looking at investments, cash flow, but I mean, this does come up and it's something to be aware of. In terms of travel money cards, there are pros and cons to this, and I would encourage you to Google them and find out about them. A lot of people like them because it allows you to lock in a currency rate. So when you activate your travel currency card and you put money on it, it locks in the rate that exists that day. And that can be really good if the place you're going, perhaps the rate is quite variable, it's changing all the time, and you want to be confident that the amount of money you've set aside is going to be the amount of money you said. But there seems to be a lot of conditions attached to travel money cards, which sometimes can offset that benefit. So locking in a currency rate is great, but no one can really say whether currency is going to go up and down, and you may actually be worse off if the currency conversion gets better whilst you're on holidays. One of the conditions that seems to come up a fair bit, seems to be an issue, is if you change your money perhaps to a foreign currency and you come back and you haven't used it all, which is pretty common, to change it back, you incur further fees again. And sometimes that completely offsets the benefit of having a travel money card. Me personally, we do a fair bit of travel. I just simply use my ING EFTPOS card. So I use ING because it has no fees. This isn't a plug for ING at all. There are a lot of different banks that do this. It's worth checking in. But they have no ATM fees overseas. They have no transaction fees overseas. There are conditions. So I think, I can't recall the conditions, but there's a certain amount of money that needs to be contributed to your account every month. And you also need to make a certain amount of card transactions, which is pretty common. That seems to come up quite easily. But basically, what I would say to you is perhaps before exploring travel money cards, it might be worth having a look at your bank accounts and seeing what fee-free options there are available. If your bank doesn't offer you fee-free options, maybe look to change banks. It's 2019 now. We are moving beyond fees and banks. There are still many banks charging fees, and there are many that aren't. And if you're still paying fees, you're being ripped off. The final thing I like to talk about when it comes to travel is should you get money out in Australian dollars or the local currency? So what I mean by this is from time to time, particularly when you're in touristy areas, you'll be given the option whether you wish to purchase something in the currency of where you're at, or it'll come up really helpfully, would you like to do this in Australian dollars? And it may seem really beneficial because you look at it and go, well, that's great. I can see exactly how much it is in Australian dollars. But in my experience, the conversion rate of that is not great. In my experience, it is far more beneficial for you to pay in the local currency. And in fact, in Europe, there is a notorious ATM company that does this conversion rate, and it's absolutely outrageous. So my tip is if you are given the option to purchase in Australian dollars, always stick with the local currency. So that way you're not getting a terrible conversion rate, you're getting the conversion rate of your bank, which hopefully you've checked it and is a good one. Awesome. So it's a really quick one today. I just wanted to give you a bit of a rundown of how we think about holidays. The key thing is we want to make sure that you've got a separate account, that you understand how you're going to get money out, that you've got your travel insurance sorted, and that you're going to get money out in the local currency at all times. If you have any questions, please get in touch. We're always happy to chat and talk about different things. I'm available in a lot of places, so you can send me an email at ben@bouncefinancial.com.au. Alternatively, follow us on Instagram. We're quite active on there, and we try and put out as much free content as possible. So hopefully, there's little nuggets of information there. I'm quite active on LinkedIn as well, and we're quite active on Facebook. But if you have any questions, please get in touch and have a great day.